I'm Seth Meyers. This is Late Night. We hope you're doing well. And now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. President Trump held an Oval Office event today on coal, as opposed to how he usually holds them on Ambien. During his testimony yesterday before the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Secretary of State Marco Rubio pushed back on claims that President Trump has cognitive issues and added, quote, "This is a guy who literally doesn't sleep. Are you kidding me? Did you forget this? He was sleeping any deeper, they'd have to swear in J.D. Vance." That's right, Marco Rubio said that he has never seen President Trump fall asleep. Did you think this is him meditating? Okay, I'm ready to deal with Iran now that I've achieved mental clarity and emotional regulation. During an Oval Office event yesterday, President Trump said that his administration removed homeless encampments around Washington, D.C. in time for the country's 250th anniversary and added, quote, that he has, quote, regrassed many of the areas. Oh, yeah, he's definitely regrassed. Some would say he's regrassed all the way to childhood. During the same event, President Trump said that his trade advisor, Peter Navarro, knows more about China than any human being on Earth, except for Chinese President Xi Jinping and maybe, I don't know, a billion other people. That's like saying you know the most about London because you did a semester there and now you say chips instead of fries. The Archbishop of Washington, D.C., Cardinal Robert McElroy, yesterday removed a priest as an exorcist because of his comments about UFO sightings. Because the last thing you want is an exorcist who believes in a bunch of crazy stuff. The auction house Sotheby's is set to offer one of the largest and most complete fossils of a T-Rex that could sell for up to $30 million. This, according to a panicked voicemail from Nick Cage's accountant. Dunkin' yesterday unveiled a new drink menu, which includes a collaboration with Mattel to offer Barbie-themed pink drinks. Why, was the coffee also made 3 years ago? And finally, today was the 130th anniversary of Henry Ford's test drive with the first automobile he ever designed. I think if he were still alive today, he'd say, "Oh my God, what have you done to her?" And that was a monologue, everybody. I'm gonna get a show for you tonight. He's a fantastic actor, even better person. You know him from Anchorman, knocked up the Ant-Man franchise, as well as day drinking. With me, he's starring in Power Ballad, which is in theaters Friday, June 5th. Our very good friend Paul Rudd is back on the show. He is an absolutely legendary former professional tennis player whose incredible new documentary, Rafa, is streaming now on Netflix. Rafa Nadal is joining us. How about that? Very excited. Before we get to all that, Donald Trump is facing backlash from Republicans after nominating a crony with no experience to be director of national intelligence. His chosen candidate for governor of Iowa lost the GOP primary, and he printed out a big poster to brag about the size of the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool, which is not something he built or has any control over. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. If there's one thing we know about Trump, it's that he's a keen judge of character. He's always paying close attention to the habits and qualities of the people around him. We've all seen him in meetings, razor sharp, laser focused, locking eyes with everyone around him, carefully scrutinizing every word and every gesture, taking the true measure of the men and the soon-to-be-fired women who make up his administration. Sure, to you, it looks like he's asleep, but everyone looks like they're sleeping when you're so woke. To the rest of us America First patriots, it's clear he's simply closing his eyes so he can picture everyone naked. Not for sexual reasons, but just to calm his nerves for when it's his turn to talk. Don't be nervous. Just picture everyone naked. You can see little Marco's little Marco. JD has a TD, if you know what I mean, tiny. TD stands for tiny, and you're hearing it more and more. You're hearing it more and more. The point is, that's what Trump is doing in these meetings. He's thinking so hard with his brain, it's draining energy from his eyelids. He's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. Just ask the Secretary of State.
Have you been at more than one meeting where President Trump has fallen asleep? That's false. That's false. I've never seen him fall asleep. On the contrary, the guy doesn't sleep, which is a big problem because he calls me at 2 in the morning. He calls me at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, we believe you. That's why he's asleep during the day. It's the same reason the raccoons are asleep whenever you go on a field trip to the Bronx Zoo. They're up all night looking for a garbage can to knock over, which is also what Trump is probably doing. There's got to be a Big Mac in here. And don't bull us that he's working in the middle of the night. We know what he's doing. He's posting AI slop of himself as Jesus or on Mount Rushmore or riding on horseback with George Washington next to a NASCAR race while a space shuttle flies overhead. Which, by the way, if that happened, would be George Washington's worst nightmare. If a car zipped past him at 200 miles an hour while a space shuttle flew over his head, he'd say, "Dear God, what are these hellish monstrosities?" And then he'd turn to Trump and say, like, "What happened to your hand, dude?" Like, I'm from the 1700s, and I've never even seen that. In fact, a few weeks ago, Trump posted a meme of himself blowing up Iran with the words, "No more Mr. Nice Guy," at 4:05 a.m. And that makes sense. All the nice guys are asleep at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is the most concerning time to do anything on your phone. Imagine if a friend texted you at 4 a.m. Doesn't matter what the text is. Even if it just says, "How are you?" You'd be freaked the out. You'd wait an hour later and say, "Everything okay?" And they'd write back, "I'm not sleeping. I'm just picturing you naked." So Rubio claimed he'd never seen Trump fall asleep. Congressman Ted Lieu then played a clip for Rubio of Trump falling asleep next to Rubio. Here's a split screen of the clip in the hearing room as it played, which cuts back to Rubio at the end.
Coalition of countries that line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace, and it's still, every day is a challenge. But it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. That's not our war. It's not the president's war. This war started. It never would have happened if you'd been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it.
I mean, look at his face. You know Rubio's thinking to himself, "Oh, I wish I was asleep right now." Trump has an amazing ability to suck the life out of everyone around him. This picture of Rubio reminds me of a similar picture of Ted Cruz making calls for Trump in 2016. Same face, 10 years apart. I'm against putting Trump's face on money, but I would be fine with putting these two guys on a new $250 bill. Anyway, point is, Trump's always locked in, always studying everyone around him. He might look like he's sleeping next to Marco or JD, but actually he's paying close attention to their behavior.
I was interested when you talked about how you studied Marco Rubio and JD Vance as they interact. What is their interaction? And
it's good.
How do they relate?
I study to see if they like each other. I just find it interesting. It's life. It's big time stuff.
Do you do that with everyone in the cabinet?
I do it with everybody.
Do you?
Outside of the cabinet, too. I study everything.
Yeah.
I'm a studier.
Why?
Because it's interesting. It's the human thing, the human equation.
So let me repeat that last line. The president was asked why he studies people, and he said, because it's interesting, human. It's the human thing, the human equation. For a man who claims he studies humans, it's a real shame that he can't learn how to talk like one. The Human Equation sounds like an album of R&B duets he did with Anita Baker. At first, I thought it was an insult that he skipped his son's wedding, but I'm starting to think Don Jr. caught a break. You don't want that guy making a toast. Don's wife, I've studied you. You haven't noticed, but I've studied you, your conversations, the way you interact. I was curious, do these two humans like one another? Will they be safe to combine in a human equation? Point is, everyone around Trump knows he's a keen observer of people and an excellent judge of character. That's how he makes all of his appointments, even if, to us non-geniuses, they do seem super unqualified.
We begin this hour with a controversial pick. President Trump is appointing longtime ally Bill Pulte as acting director of national intelligence. The federal housing official has no known experience in national intelligence and has used his office repeatedly to go after the president's perceived political foes.
Pulte does not appear to have any experience in intelligence matters. He does have a history of publicly attacking President Trump's perceived political enemies and referring them to the DOJ for investigation.
Pulte is an investment guy. He's a real estate guy. He has not only no intelligence experience, no foreign policy experience. And this role, this job, this person gets access to some of the most sensitive intelligence that the U.S. government government collects, the biggest secrets, just incredible things, sensitive, compartmented programs need to know things that only a handful of people in the government know. And now Bill Pulte will know them.
He's going to know all of our secrets? Does that mean he's going to be able to read all of my texts with the other late night hosts? Like that time I texted John Oliver, congrats on the Emmy, or that other time I texted him, congrats on the Emmy, or last year when I texted him, congrats on the Emmy, or last night at 4 a.m. when I texted him a meme of myself with an assault rifle that said, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Trump's choice for one of the most sensitive and high-stakes jobs in the government was so shocking, even Republicans criticized it, and those who didn't criticize it were left speechless.
Bill Pulte has the experience to be the acting DNI, and same with you with Senator Cotton and Chairman Veto's, the kind of person you want leading Veto's.
I'll defer the chairman on that.
We have 4 more weeks with Director Gabbard as the DNI, and I look forward to implementing last year's Intelligence Authorization Act with her to implement wide-ranging reforms that will shrink the DNI and take it back to its original intent to provide a mere coordinator or process role for the intelligence community. I have no observations on the matter.
He's literally walking out of frame while he answers the question. If reporters just kept asking him the same question over and over, he would have ended up in the Potomac River, excuse me. He would have ended up in the Potomac River. Use that one. I'm going to try that the next time my wife asks if I think one of her friends is attractive. Angela's cute, isn't she? I have no observations on the matter. So the Pulte pick did not sit well with Republicans. But again, Trump is a sharp judge of character. He knows people, and he always picks the best and the brightest for his team. Renowned experts who are the tops of their fields. Just take it from, let's see, who's in this next clip? Dr. Oz.
Can you respond to any of the criticism from Republicans on President Trump's decision to tap Bill Pulte, who has no known intelligence experience, as acting DNI?
Well, I think Bill is a great guy. I know him socially. I've not worked with him in his current job, but I do trust the president's judgment. He is a very sharp, quick study of people, their emotional abilities, and their ability to persevere in the face of hardship. So I have confidence in his decision.
Will you guys please stop trying to convince us that Donald Trump is Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind with calculations just spinning around his head, especially when we all know he's the guy who stared directly into an eclipse. But it's not just who Trump appoints, it's also who he endorses. Again, he's such a sharp judge of talent that everyone he endorses wins, which is why he is not worried about gas prices or the war with Iran.
Has it set you back, you think, in terms of how Republicans will do in the midterms?
Well, I don't know. I mean, everybody I endorse wins.
Yeah, like when he endorsed Dr. Oz for Senate in Pennsylvania, or when he endorsed Herschel Walker for Senate in Georgia, or when he endorsed Roy Moore for Senate in Alabama, or when he endorsed Kerry Lake for governor in Arizona, or when he endorsed Joe Exotic for Senate in Oklahoma. The last one was fake, but you believe me. At least some of you believe me. I'm sure the only reason he didn't endorse Joe Exotic is because he wasn't sure how to pronounce his last name. We love Joe Exotech, don't we? We all watched this show during COVID because I let COVID run rampant and we were stuck in our houses, so really I'm responsible for his success. All those people lost because they were general elections, and it's true that Trump's candidates tend to win GOP primaries, but they're much less successful when non-MAGA fans get to vote. Although even in GOP primaries, Trump's record is not spotless, as we discovered this week.
Over in Iowa, Trump-endorsed Congressman Randy Feenstra lost his bid in the governor's race to businessman Zach Lane. Feenstra is the first statewide Trump endorsee to lose a primary this year.
Okay, so Trump's chosen candidate lost the GOP primary in Iowa. Who's the guy who won anyway? Zach Lane? So, what's his deal?
Zach Lane says he represents Iowa values, but Lane invested $1 million in a sex toy company called FirmTech. They're even connected with Pornhub.
I'm sorry, the GOP nominee for governor in Iowa invested in a sex toy company? What type of sex toys are we talking here? Dildos? Butt plugs? Vibrators? Wands? Nipple clamps? Ball gags? Fleshlights? Anal beads? Floggers? Paddles? Swings? Harnesses? Whips? Blindfolds? Handcuffs? Chokers? Those are just a few examples, or so I'm told. Actually, it turns out it's even weirder than that. Lane invested $1 million in a men's sexual health company that promotes a line of innovative wearable erection rings. Like, what? Who would even need those? And the name of the company was FirmTech? And I assume they have a website? If we could track down a promo code? Seriously, did Trump know about this before he endorsed the other guy? Because I feel like he would have changed his mind. Trump apparently likes talking about this stuff. A few months ago, he told an audience they could ask him intimate questions.
I'm asked to take a few questions, and unlike other politicians, they would like the questions screened. I don't ask for screening of the questions. You can ask me anything you want. You can talk sex.
No! We don't want to talk sex with you. Here's how little I want to talk sex with you. If the options were you hosting a late-night call-in radio show about sex or you getting a third term as president, I don't know which one I would pick. I just know that the radio show would be called The Human Equation. One thing we know for sure is that Trump is definitely obsessed with size, whether it's sex or construction. As you may know, he's been renovating the Lincoln reflecting pool to change the color. That's it. Nothing he did affected the footprint of the pool. But on Wednesday, he showed off a chart he had made that compared the size of the pool to various skyscrapers for some reason.
They just had this done. You're getting a first glimpse, but that's your size compared. So those are compared to, those are among the tallest buildings in the world, including the Empire State Building, World Trade Center, Sears Tower, Chicago. So if you lay it on its side, you'd take 2 or 3 of them to fill it in.
I mean, you know what? You got to hand it to him. I mean, that is really impressive. Or it would be if the reflecting pool was vertical. You're not allowed to compare horizontal to vertical. If that was the case, I-90 crushes the reflecting pool. This is the stuff Trump really cares about, renovating the reflecting pool, putting his cronies in charge of intelligence agencies. Meanwhile, prices are soaring. The Iran war is a disaster. Trump is screwing us so badly, it's almost like he's running a
sex toy company.
FirmTech. We'll be right back. Oh, this has been a closer look.